In a story published August 7, 2017, the Globe and Mail states Canada fully supports US action in Syria, which is total fucking bullshit. Because I guarantee you most Canadians don't support yet another war in the Middle East. Let's take a look at what was said. The United States launched 59 Tomahawk missiles at an Assad-controlled airbase in Syria last night in response to the Syrian president's use of chemical weapons earlier this week. The Prime Minister went on to say that Canada fully supports the United States' limited and focused action to degrade the Assad regime's ability to launch chemical weapons attacks against innocent civilians, including many children. President Assad's use of chemical weapons and the crimes the Syrian government has committed against its own people cannot be ignored. Of course it can't be ignored. Who would want to ignore such a tragedy? But unfortunately, a guilty party was never established either, and Trudeau seemed to get this right at first.
Of course, still questions to be answered around who is responsible for these. We don't know exactly who is responsible for this one.
You can tell by his hesitation that he's telling the simple truth. Something horrible has happened, but we don't know who did it. So that's the reasonable position to take, because it takes time to determine guilt. There's a process. So contrast this then with what he said the next day in Parliament.
In the face of such heinous war crimes, all civilized peoples must speak with one voice. That is why Canada fully supports the United States' limited, focused action to degrade the Assad's regime's ability to launch such attacks. We continue to support diplomatic efforts with our international partners to resolve the crisis in Syria.
Oh my fucking god. So how the fuck did we get from the very reasonable position of we don't know who did this yet to we fully support US bombing the fuck out of Syria? You see, the evidence Assad gassed his own people is pretty much non-existent. If you look through recent articles on the topic, you'll find it's full of assertions and speculation, but goes limp when it comes to hard evidence. In other words, Mr. Trudeau is feeding Canadians pure propaganda. It seems that the very best argument placing the blame at the boots of Assad boils down to the claim he gassed his own people in the past. Therefore, he must be responsible for doing it again.
We do know that the Assad regime has been responsible in the past for chemical weapons attacks against civilians.
Trudeau's referring to the time Assad was accused of using gas on his own people in August 2013 in a town called Ghouta in Syria. You probably remember this as the time Assad crossed Obama's red line and Obama caved in and never did anything about it. Well, that's not exactly what happened. So let's go back to 2013 and take another look. At the time, Obama spokesman Jim Carney said much more work needs to be done to verify intelligent assessments that Syria's regime used chemical weapons against the opposition in that country's civil war. He also added, the president made it very clear this is a serious matter. It is essential, however, to establish, a broader process of verification that will allow us to then assess whether that red line has been crossed or not. So despite the fact that Obama was pushed from all sides to escalate the war with Assad, he didn't do it. Most likely because he knew that the claim was bullshit and that it was a false flag attempting to drag his administration and the rest of the world in yet another quagmire in the Middle East. Now, in case you're tempted to think I'm spewing conspiracy theories or making this up, take a look at this quote from a book by Seymour Hersh. Obama's change of mind had its origins at Porton Down, the Defense Laboratory in Wiltshire. British intelligence had obtained a sample of the sarin used in the 21st of August attack, and analysis demonstrated that the gas used didn't match the batches known to exist in the Syrian army's chemical weapons arsenal. So what does this tell you? No conspiracy needed. John McCain and everyone trying to drag the world into another war and another quagmire in Syria were full of fucking shit. The last sarin gas attack was a false flag. So when you hear Trudeau make statements accusing Assad of past atrocities and giving the green light for blaming him again, you know he's flat out lying. Because there's no way a head of state could be this blind to the truth. He's full of it, and he's betting you won't figure it out. But there's still more to the story. Today, legal experts claim that Trump's unilateral bombing campaign was probably illegal and, I quote, exceeds all prior precedents under domestic and international law. Think of what that means. Exceeds all prior precedents under domestic and international law. Justin Trudeau, is this something that you really think Canadians approve of? Look, Justin, I want to give you the benefit of the doubt. After all, I realize that Assad's a terrible dictator and the entire region is a bloody mess and solutions are hard to come by. but I can't just give you a free pass on this one either. The US's use of this kind of force in a volatile country is a dangerous move, and one that will certainly have repercussions. Furthermore, it was most certainly illegal, and so far, we've not even taken into account the possibility that this escalation will provoke a reaction from Russia, further pushing us all towards what seems like an inevitable world war. So in summary, it appears that Justin's original comments were sincere and helpful, but something happened the next day, and since then, he's engaged in lies and warmongering. I expect better from Canada, Justin, and therefore I expect better from you.